Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Grant Thornton, Mr. Dave Maturo.
All right, if you could hear me, say packed. All right, come on, we need some more. If you could hear me, say packed. Who brings investors and entrepreneurs together? Say packed. Who throws the best networking function? Say packed. All right, we're warming up. All right, so my name is Dave Maturo. I'm a managing director at Grant Thornton. Grant Thornton is a global provider of accounting, tax, and advisory services, serving mid-market and large companies around the world. We are hosting and sponsoring tonight's gala reception, which is right after the Lion's Den at 6 o'clock, right here. So have a drink on us. And I have the distinct pleasure of introducing my good friend, Ira Gubernick, partner at Cozen O'Connor.
Thanks, Dave. Well, I'm Ira Gubernick. I co-chair the corporate group at Cozen O'Connor. We're a national law firm with over 700 attorneys. It spends a lot of time with emerging businesses through our co-pilot program. We help produce and create the Lion's Den. I guess this is year 5 or 6? Year 6? 5. Okay, year 5. And working with Mark Letterman at NewSpring and Dean Miller at PACT. And we're thrilled to be here. I was told to tell you that we're giving away some of our legal services for free. But that doesn't include David Adelman, who's one of the Lions. RSM's also giving away the accounting services for the investors and companies that they invest in. So with no further ado, Lion's Den.
Now in our 5th year, with funding exceeding $5 million, the Lion's Den promises to once again offer on-the-spot funding opportunities. Our Lions are looking for the next big idea.
Enter the Lion's Den. PACT's Lion's Den. Meet our lions. David Adelman, CEO, Campus Apartments, Lead Director, Wheels Up.
So for those presenting at the Lion's Den, my advice is really simple. Take a deep breath, walk out there, tell us your story, but leave your bullshit behind. We'll see right through it. It's all about the facts, showing us your passion, and having a strong understanding of your business, and you will be fine.
Jonathan A. Brassington, head of Capgemini Digital and Innovation Group, Capgemini Invent, NA.
The biggest lesson in business that I've learned is it's clear understanding that it's about people and leadership. In many ways, the markets that we serve, our business models will change over time, but we're betting on people and we're betting on entrepreneurs.
Anthony Bucci, founder and former CEO of RevZilla.com, angel investor and advisor.
The way that I tend to approach the investments that I usually make are looking for founder market fit and typically organic opportunities. I don't want a team of MBAs that says there's a lot of white space in a big market. I look for people that are passionate about a problem, an area, a domain of expertise that want to bring something to life because they can't stop focusing on it even when they're off the clock.
Catherine O'Neill, angel investor, co-founder Broad Street Angels, Jumpstart New Jersey Angel Network.
This is a community, and you talk to lots of different people who will introduce you to other investors, who will introduce you to people who can work with you, and this network community is very welcoming and very helpful, and take advantage of it. You don't have to be super secret about what you're doing. Everybody is struggling, everybody is moving ahead.
Richard Vague, managing partner, Gabriel Investments.
Forming successful partnerships between investors and entrepreneurs is really a creative process. From the idea to the different ways to get a deal done. It's truly an art form. Just be sure you have a vision of the picture you're painting.
Pulled from over 150 applications, narrowed down to 42 presenting companies, and now the final 3.
Are you ready to enter? Enter the Lion's Den. PACT's Lion's Den. Please welcome our lions, Catherine O'Neill, Richard Vague, Anthony Bucci, David Edelman, Jonathan Brassington, and our moderator, Mr. Mark Letterman, General Partner, New Spring Capital.
Good afternoon, everyone. We started this session, this is our 5th year, so 5 years ago, and really it's my favorite session of the event because what it really allows us to do here, and I think everyone here is here for the same reason, we all want to support the Philadelphia entrepreneurial ecosystem, right? We want to create that fertile ground that allows those next seeds to be planted that turn into the next very successful companies in the area. And what we decided to do 5 years ago was to get some of the entrepreneurs here who in the region who have built very successful businesses and who are supporting that ecosystem through investment, mentoring, et cetera, to come back out and showcase A, their success, but B, have them have an opportunity to meet some of the next generation of entrepreneurs who are raising money and to potentially help them in their fundraising. So we've now done this will be our 5th year, but previously we had 4 years, 3 companies each, so 12 companies. 8 of those companies have raised over $2.5 million through a live Shark Tank type of event, not Shark Tank, because that would be trademark infringement, Lion's Den. And we do this in 15 to 20 minute increments. So today there was 42 presenting companies. We've narrowed it down to 3. Trekit Health, Simply Jars, and Triple Bristle. And our first entrepreneur that's going to present here in the Lion's Den this morning will be Trekit Health. I'll introduce her in one moment. The way it's going to work is, give her a round of applause. And first of all of them a round of applause. They will have about 7 minutes to do their presentation. It will be similar to the presentation they gave this morning in one of the sessions. And then the Lions will have an opportunity to do Q&A and find out a little bit more about the business, ask them questions to, if it piques their interest. And then the entrepreneur will make an ask. These are all earlier stage companies that are typically raising somewhere from hundreds of thousands of dollars to maybe a couple $1 million. And just like you've seen in Shark Tank, the entrepreneurs can decide, or the Lions can decide if they are interested in investment. They can make an offer. They can say, I think that's a fair offer. They can try to negotiate. But within 18 to 20 minutes, we'll either come to a deal or not. And I'm proud to say, unlike the show Shark Tank, where most of the deals you see consummated on TV never close, we have a 100% close rate for the deals that have been consummated here on stage. They won't close tonight, but we will get them closed, and with the hope of Cozen O'Connor and RSM as well, and Grant Thornton, Grant Thornton. So with that, let me introduce our first entrepreneur to present to the Lion's Den, Suba Aryan Javi from Trekit Health.
Hello, everybody. I'm very excited to be here. I have a confession. I've never watched Shark Tank or seen the Lion's Den, so this is all new for me, and I'm excited to be here. Are we getting... Oh, you can see my slides. Okay. So as I said, my name is Suba Aryan Javia. I am actually a practicing hospitalist and a clinical informaticist at the University of Pennsylvania. I used to be an associate chief medical informatics officer there, and in that role, I built Trekit to address an important internal need. It was very successfully adopted and spread pretty fast at Penn Medicine, and I knew I had to bring this out to other healthcare systems so I could help improve care. So about a year ago, I actually left my associate CMIO role to launch Trekit Health and devote my full-time efforts into trying to bring this solution to market. Approximately 440,000 people die due to preventable medical errors in the United States every single year. That's the equivalent of 2 fully loaded 747 jets falling out of the sky every single day. About 70% of preventable medical errors are due in some way to communication failures. That means about 850 people die every day due to preventable communication-related medical errors. I think it's safe to say that none of us are okay with that number, and unfortunately, that's the reality in healthcare. Now, these are very complicated processes, of course, but we believe many of these stem from diagnostic errors, poor documentation, and even lack of access to relevant data. Now, you may not find that surprising when you see that this paper is actually the standard of care that clinicians are given to actually manage their work in real time. You might be wondering, what about the billion-dollar EHRs that everyone are buying? Could these possibly be what you're using to take care of my loved one in the hospital? And unfortunately, the reality is yes. Even with the most expensive EHR, the tool that clinicians are given to actually manage our work minute to minute, to communicate with each other back and forth, is a paper list with patient names printed on them. I think you guys have probably all experienced this with loved ones in the hospital when two clinicians come into the room back to back and say two completely different things, having no idea what the other person has said. That's because each of them is carrying their own version of this paper with their own notes scribbled on it, tucked in their pocket. No one can see what the other person is thinking in real time or communicate. It's hardly a way to manage a very complicated system on paper. That's why I've spent the last 15 years of my work dedicated to fixing this problem, because I too have seen this, both on the patient or the family member and the clinical side, and I knew there had to be a better way. So TrekkIt is a HIPAA-compliant digital workspace for the entire clinical team to work together in real time around the care of the patient. And by clinical team, I actually mean the entire clinical team. So the doctors, the nurses, the students, the pharmacists, the therapists, really a place for them to work cohesively together. TrekkIt actually gives the clinicians the data they want, the data they need, when and where they want it, in the palm of their hands, replacing hours of transcribing information onto paper lists every day. We all know that burnout is a real problem again in the clinical environment. TrekkIt is addressing burnout by actually giving us a tool that we enjoy using, we think improves our work life, and importantly helps us provide better care, which ultimately is the main goal. So TrekkIt can connect to any EHR and really unlock its power by taking that data and presenting it in a visually intuitive and importantly accessible way for clinicians, instead of being held hostage at workstations. It's accessible on any device, from a desktop to a tablet, but importantly, phones, which all of us already have in our pockets. Sorry, one thing I forgot in the last one. So we pair that data with healthcare's first patient-centered wiki. So this is an intuitive, dynamic dashboard that the entire team is using to collaborate around what's happening for the patient instead of doing it in our separate papers. So because of this, honestly, obsession with usability and workflow for clinicians, this tool spread very quickly at Penn Medicine. We are live on over 100 services in our downtown hospitals. 5 years after implementation, we have 5,000 unique users and over 500,000 patient views a month in the application. We're clearly saving people time, reducing errors, but importantly, we're already starting to see a reduction in readmissions. Outside of Penn Medicine, we've now launched at Crozier Keystone Medical Center. We started on one small service with 8 people. We're now spread across 4 of our major departments in the hospital system, which is over 40 different clinical services. Now, when I designed the tool, I designed it to be an inpatient tool, because that's where I practice medicine. Bringing it out of Penn, we learned very quickly that it's actually fitting a need for many different clinical settings. So we started with acute care, but it actually is very applicable in the post-acute care setting. We've already launched in a nursing home as well as on a home care service. And we're really excited about this opportunity because the post-acute care market has a much faster sales cycle and it's easier to get to the right decision maker. TrekkIt is offered as 2 products, a standalone offering and an integrated version. So this is really important because I think we all probably know that healthcare sales cycles can be really painful and long. Meanwhile, patients are still getting sick. As a clinician, I still need to take care of them. Almost every other skilled profession, from chefs to artists, get to actually choose the tools of their trade, but clinicians don't. So it was really important to us to offer a standalone version that requires no integration. Clinicians can choose to use it and start on day 1. It offers them that patient wiki, the dynamic task lists, their documentation tools, and importantly, it can work on, and does work on, any specialty. It can also be integrated into a health system's existing EHRs and provide those real-time data feeds, the actionable insights for that data layered on top of the standalone application. That integrated version is really powerful and has really been transformative at Penn, but the reality is that integrating into each individual healthcare system can slow the process for the sale. So to mitigate that risk, we're really excited to work with the HealthShare Exchange, which is our local HIE, to bring patient data from around the region into the application. This is going to enable us to be able to do one integration, but be able to provide all of that data within our application on day one to the potential customers in this area without having to lift a finger to do any integration, which is oftentimes the rate limiting step. We believe that's a really innovative way to provide useful clinical tools to clinicians, which we're excited about. Our team is small but strong. We bring clinical, informatics, and operational expertise to the table. Our advisors are subject matter experts and thought leaders in areas that we're working on, from education to nursing workflow, physician workflow, handoffs, and human factors. We believe in surrounding ourselves with smart people who know what they're doing and have done this before. We're also currently bringing on someone to help with the business and more strategic planning part of the team. So in the last 18 months since we launched, we've raised over $1 million from Family, Ben Franklin, Dream It, and now IP Group. We've used those funds to spin out of Penn, launch at our first non-Penn site. We are now raising $2 million with IP Group leading the round. Our goals for this round are to modernize our tech for scalability so that we can really move fast in our go-to-market, to test these strategies, particularly this HIE initiative, and to expand and support our existing customer base. Thank you.
So we'll now open it up to questions from our alliance.
So, aside from competing with pencil and paper, the Scrat notes, who else is doing something like this?
Great question. So the real answer, practical answer, is our main competitors are the electronic health records. So
like Epics or
correct.
one of those?
Now, in reality, you can ask any clinician. Epic and Cerner don't actually do any of what I just told you in a way that's useful, but they really tend to suck the air out of the room and make it hard for IS departments to want to work with anyone else. But the reality is that physicians are upset, they're unhappy, they're burnt out, we have attrition issues, and there's more and more recognition in healthcare that we have to change the status quo. So that's our main theoretical competition. In terms of companies actually doing the same thing, there are 2 or 3 that are working in the same space, but really what they're doing is taking that paper that I showed you and essentially putting it on a screen without any form improvement. That was my first version 10 years ago, and really what I've done with this version is evaluate the workflow and completely redesign the technology to take it to the next step. By integrating with the EHR, it actually flows into your documentation and really tries to eliminate a lot of the redundancies that you can't get when you just duplicate paper onto the screen.
Thank you.
Cool, I have a question.
Yeah.
So first off, congrats on making it this far.
Thank you.
As far as the tech, your tech platform, I notice you and your co-founder are not technical. How have you built tech up until this point, and how do you see yourself really owning your tech stack and developing your technology moving forward?
Yes. So building it up until before starting the company, we built it in-house with a small group of very talented people at Penn. Coming out of Penn, I initially worked with a consultant who kind of was my main developer. Since then, we actually transitioned to using a consulting group a contracting group in New Jersey. So I do have a dev team. It's about 5 full-time people doing the development work. I'm currently leading it. One of our uses of funds is finding our technical lead. I'm the product owner. I do the design work. I do design, but certainly need a technical lead to lead that for sure. That's the main thing is we need to hire that technical lead. Ultimately, I'd love to have my own development team in-house, but clearly I need more funds for that.
Thanks.
How active are you in selling to other institutions currently, and if so, who are some of your hottest prospects?
So we have been fairly active. We have a warm pipeline, including Cambridge Health Alliance. We've had conversations with Cooper, Norwalk, some other intro ones that I don't necessarily want to say just yet. But in all of the settings that I mentioned, so acute care, post-acute care, and even some ambulatory markets. We are, as I mentioned, part of our use of funds is to modernize and actually redo the tech so that it's more scalable. So we are certainly maintaining and keeping those conversations going for the ones that we've already moved far ahead on, pausing for a bit while we do the rewrite, and then we'll re-engage. But one of the parts we're really excited about is the Health Information Exchange. There's thousands of customers in this area that are part of the Health Information Exchange. Once we integrate with them, that'll be a really huge opportunity for us.
So what companies are really in your same space, and what are competitors right now?
Sure. So the main ones are List Runner, Word Manager. Those are the two. There was a third one called Metasas that was, it's a little bit murky online, but they've kind of pivoted. Their website's been completely quiet for a year, and so we're waiting for them to kind of reemerge. But those are the two. There are other ones that are adjacent that say that they're, like, some focus on nursing handoff. There aren't really any others that are bringing the whole team together like we are. It's not that crowded yet.
So good.
So what's your partnership opportunity with EMR and EHR platforms?
I believe one of the values we bring is that we're not tied to one EHR. So, there are many physicians who work in different hospitals that have different EHRs, and that's really challenging for them. All of us as patients are certainly seen at places that have different EHRs, and I think one of the challenges we have in healthcare is our data is essentially held hostage by EHRs at particular health systems. So part of what we're hoping to do is really not be limited to one EHR, but certainly happy to work with them. So we could, license the software to them. They could make it an offering, make it more powerful. No question, using our EHR is a lot easier for us because we have my tool. So I think that's the real opportunity, is to say, hey, you can sell us alongside what you're doing, and it'll make people that much happier using your product.
What's your revenue right now? Did you tell us that?
I did not tell you. We are pre-revenue, very early.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. And other question: the $2 million you're raising, how much have you circled or raised so far?
So our lead investor is putting in $1 million.
Of the two.
So we have $1 million open still. Yeah.
And no other investors yet besides that.
We have people who we've been talking to say that they're going to. We haven't have anything in writing yet.
Okay.
So I don't want to commit.
How, will that get you to profitability? And if not, how much more will you have to raise to reach profitability?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
The amount you're looking to raise right now, does that get you to profitability? And if not, how much more would you need to raise to reach profitability?
That's a great question. So the amount that we're looking to raise will give us about an 18-month runway, assuming no revenue at all. I anticipate getting revenue based on the conversations we're having in Q2, if not Q1 of next year. I think profitability is a more challenging question. To be honest, I don't know that I have an exact answer that will be profitable by the end of next year. So I'm not sure.
So what's your burn now on a monthly basis, and post-raising, what do you expect it to be based on your growth strategy?
So we're in a bit of a burn transition point, if you will. So we just closed a small round that's bridging us to this fall round with the same investor. And our burn prior to that was really about $25,000 a month. As we engage with a larger development team to do the tech rewrite, which is really one of our main focuses for this round, and including augmenting the team with our lead technologist, or our lead engineer, I should say, we expect it to be between $50,000 and $60,000.
So the lead investor is committed $1 million. You're looking to raise $2 million. What are the terms of the $1 million that they've proposed? So what's the ask for the?
Sure. So the term sheet that I have is for a $2 million raise, they are doing $1 million on a $3.25 million pre-money valuation.
Can you tell us a little about them?
Sure. It's IP Group. IP Group is based out of the UK, but and I'm sorry if I don't say this well for IP Group, but they now have a United States-based investment group. They actually specialize in investing in faculty inventions at universities. We're actually pretty late for them because they usually start, pre-formation of a company and really help with that whole process of coming out of the health system, out of the university.
All right, so now unless there's other questions, Anthony, is there another question?
I have one more question.
Okay.
Sure.
How are you thinking about defending your position, right? So if you look at it right now, you're facilitating error-free communication. It's a different input layer. There's a lot of value to it, right? And you have, obviously, their scale and speed to market, which if you get there first, that's great, and you can capture it. How are you thinking about your unique product, even from the signal strength you're seeing from your current customers, from a defensibility standpoint?
So I apologize because there's an echo, but you said how?
No, how are you thinking about defensibility outside of just size and scale at this point? Are you seeing early things that you can defend your position with I mean, what's your moat, essentially?
Well, unlike our other customers or competitors that I mentioned, we have 5 years of usage of Penn. Some people think that, oh, well, of course Penn uses it because you built it there. That's not the case. It's very hard to get people to change the technology they use, especially in a clinical environment. So we have a lot of data that we're able to get out of that place. So that's part of what we're working on right now, is crunching those numbers. But as I mentioned, we are already starting to see the numbers that the hospital purchasers care about, like readmission reduction, improved billing, and I think that's where we're really going to see an advantage, because those other competitors aren't really focused in that area. Another big thing is I really focused on integrating with the EHRs and providing a tool that completely eliminates the need to have to transcribe all this data. All of the other tools that are out there still require going to your EHR, pulling up the other thing, inputting all that information. It really isn't changing or augmenting that workflow enough.
Okay.
And will IP require you to have raised the full $2 million in order to close?
Will I be No. We have a range.
They're gonna invest their $1 million even if you don't succeed in raising the additional amount.
Most likely, yes. I mean, we started off really with just them, and then we decided let's open it up for a little bit longer so we can have a longer runway.
Great. So we're at that time where there's an ask on the table if are any of the Lions interested in maybe pursuing this opportunity?
So I would say that what you're doing is great, and to be able to get it penetrated at a place like Penn is terrific. I think the hard part for me is when we invest in companies, it's where I think I can add value or my team can add value. And candidly, you are so much smarter than I am, and this is amazing.
I doubt that very much.
That I'm not going to be able to add any value to what you're doing, so I'm going to be out on this.
All right. Any takers? Going once?
So sadly, I'll say this too. I fall in a similar bucket where I try to stick with what I know, and I've spent no time in the health side of things. So while I find it compelling and I want you to win so badly for so many's benefit beyond just the folks on the stage and yourself, I just feel like similar answer to David. It's too foreign to me.
Can I augment that for 1 minute, which is that I believe a way that we're being really different is the technology innovation. And I think healthcare needs that. Because our data and how we integrate data and pull it together in a usable way, I mean, that's why Apple's involved, right? And I don't even think, I love Apple, but I don't think they did it well in the healthcare app either. It's definitely leaps and bounds better than what we have without it. But I think there's a real opportunity for leaders in technology to improve this. That's just my...
Yeah, I think that you've done fabulous work. We've watched you as you've gone along. It is concerning to us that you still don't have at least some range of expectations for subsequent capital needs and kind of the progress of revenue. So, I'm not going to say no today, but I'm not going to say yes. We'd love to continue to talk to you and see if we can get some parameters around that issue.
Sounds good. I appreciate it.
And can I comment too? As an angel investor, the length of time to revenue is a big issue right now. Okay, so it's still a long sort of a path, and that is of concern in terms of that in the competition too.
All right. Well,
I appreciate the input and the comment. Thank you, everybody.
I want to thank you again for presenting. It takes a lot of courage to present in front of all these people. And quite frankly, you're already a winner by being one of the 3 companies to be up here today. And we got a maybe. So thank you very much. Before I introduce our next entrepreneur to present, I want to talk to our friend Anthony here for a second. So,
why are you putting me on the spot?
Anthony showed me, can you show everyone your right sock, please? That would be, we're here in the sports, epicenter of Philadelphia. And so Anthony, I don't know if we've got it up on the screen.
Really? Are we really doing this?
We're
I'm going to make you say
PACT.
Who is
on that sock?
Say PACT, Mark.
Who is on that sock?
All right, the other sock?
No, who's on that sock so the crowd knows?
This is Iverson.
Allen Iverson on his right foot. He's got an Allen Iverson sock on his right.
All right. Do you want me
you got to show
the other foot? And I have number 8 Kobe. Is that original Kobe? That's that might not be the good version of Kobe.
Another somewhat Philadelphian from Lower Merion, little Kobe Bryant on the left.
Did we get it?
And is there a story of why we have these?
Yeah. So these are my lucky I'm going to be on stage kind of making things up socks. So So the Iverson sock reminds me to be enthusiastic and supportive of Philadelphia Philly teams that support Philly startups, right? It's Iverson. But the Kobe sock reminds me that, especially for this panel today, if I get romantic about what was great but what's objectively better or could be better, then it could be painful down the line. So I think that Kobe, and I guess I'm cutting to the chase, I think out of Philly and that generation of ball players, I think I was more of a Kobe fan objectively from the talent. So I can't believe you made me tell that story.
So well, hopefully maybe one of the next two entrepreneurs can be your Kobe Bryant. We'll see if we can find one. Well, now that we've whetted the appetite here of our lions, it's now time to feed the lions. And with that, I'm going to bring our next entrepreneur, Simply Jars, Jared Cannon.
Good evening. My name is Jared Cannon, and I am the founder and CEO of Simply Good Jars, based right here in Philadelphia. You have the slides?
There you go.
So for 100 years, we've all gone to vending machines for things like sugary beverages, salty snacks, candy bars, so-called healthy snacks. But you might not realize that vending machines are actually the third most popular destination for food purchases in the world. And if you layer on top of that within the broader category of fresh, salads are by far the #1 mover, but they're just not very good until now. At Simply Good Jars, we are revolutionizing the fresh food salad experience with a fresh, chef-crafted approach to create simply delicious, simply beautiful meals delivered simply right where our customers live life. We leverage RFID technology that gives us robust data into every single customer, every single product, and every single transaction. And I'll show you how it works. Simply approach one of our units. You can look on the screen for nutrition or dietary information. At the swipe of a card, you can open the door and grab whatever you'd like. The fridge intuitively knows what has been taken, and it will charge you accordingly. And when you have your selection, you can grab it, shake it up, eat it out of the jar, whatever your preference, dump it on a plate. But when you're done, you can bring that jar back to us. We capture that jar, we wash it, we reuse it, we skip the landfill, and we help to feed someone in need here locally in Philadelphia. And this was an aspect that we realized was something ignored by every single one of our competitors, was this post-consumer consumption experience. And by making it easy, we've achieved the highest rate of post-consumer packaging return here in the US at 93%. So where are we today? We have 26 units deployed right here in Philadelphia and South Jersey with a focus on 2 core channels, but these are just 2 of so many opportunities ahead of us. If you look historically, revenues have almost doubled quarter over quarter. We expect this trend to accelerate as part of this funding round. And from the economic side, when we deliver a new location, we see about $60 per business day steadily grow to around $100 per business day per location. And this kind of helps to show, looking at the cohort as a collective fleet, if you will, the average customer spend slowly start to grow as users become more engaged, they become visiting the fridge more often in their spaces. So today, our unit economics broken down gets us to about a 45% gross margin, but we are very inefficient. We are hand washing jars. We are stacking these up with lines of 9 people. We have a path to 65% by the middle of next year. And we have 150 locations just this year with some of our current clients, but we feel we can far surpass that with this round. In March, we were selected 1 out of 6 global companies to participate in the world's top food accelerator program based in Manhattan. And this is where our approach to market has, let's just say, evolved. And what we're looking to do is really land grab here at the end of the year and really cast into the stratosphere of thousands of locations in the entire Mid-Atlantic by moving production centrally to Long Island. So our food manufacturer can produce our products at 2,000 units an hour. Our final mile distributor, who is also invested, can get our products directly into the device, manage the deliveries on a 500-mile radius of Long Island. We're introducing a blended revenue model where not only are we providing a service and furnishing a device, but we're also offering jars by the pallet for some of our other larger clients, and we've integrated into the Loop system, which is TerraCycle's initiative to take processed reusable containers, wash them, get them back to the organization. And it also offers us a direct-to-consumer model through their Loop Tote home delivery system. So the Series Seed gets us the Mid-Atlantic, which is painted here in blue. It also gets us Chicago. We believe that there's an opportunity for a Series A here to make the leap to 2 other facilities that we have contracted. So we have Phoenix, Arizona for the Southwest. We have Orlando for the Southeast. And we feel this is about 2/3 of the nation population just from these 3 facilities. Side by side with our current competitor, we can furnish a device for 1/4 of the cost, and we can achieve 3 times the shelf life with a proprietary gas flush mix that we've developed. And we literally 2 days ago ordered the machine to do just that. We have the right people in the right roles, positioned, ready to go to market in a big way. I myself have been a chef for over 18 years, scaling and growing fast casual startups, managing hundreds of people, managing over 150 million in revenue, and I've developed all recipes to date. We've also surrounded ourselves with some of the very best in the business to not only challenge our thinking, but to open up doors, open up opportunities, and help us scale. Our use of funds will be primarily to build the infrastructure for our supply chain. We've already secured financing for this year's worth of equipment. We'll also be building the team. We just recently closed the 2/3 tranche of our seed round, so we have about 300,000 open. I might be able to take about 500 today if there's interest. But the exit here, we feel that over the next 3 to 5 years, executing our plan here becomes really attractive to a lot of different types of companies, organizations, as an addition to their portfolio to really deliver a fresh food, convenient grab-and-go option to the masses. And then it gets a little interesting, right? So if we really truly have thousands of locations in places like airports and hospitals and offices, all of a sudden we can become a platform for new emerging brands to test their products in these channels. And now all of a sudden we have a revenue stream that we can derive from these partnerships by state, by territory, by region. And in return we provide them the inventory turn data that they need to validate whether they're going to approach these channels or not. So just something we're thinking about. So we hope you will join us in revolutionizing the prepackaged salad experience and creating a new standard for fast food. Thanks.
What are the terms of the 1.6?
So we're 7.5 pre-money, $1.36 a share.
And what will your gross revenue and EBITDA be this year?
This year around 300,000 in revenue, and we're net loss, 300,000.
Did you say 300,000 top line?
Top and bottom.
Sorry, little echo. Thank you.
So as you expand beyond the East Coast, I saw in your map of the U.S., you look at the West Coast, Midwest, et cetera. What is your limitation at the supply chain for your food producer and packager?
So what we have 2 supply chains, right? So we have the supply chain where we're sourcing the raw ingredients, and then we have the supply chain to get the finished product, into market. We have, one of our advisors is the former culinary director for Campbell's Soup. So we positioned, our supplier network today can put us anywhere we want to go. Our protein provider, does Arby's meats, for example. So, the idea of supply chain is a non-issue. We're starting with those partnerships now and relationships now because we know our path to market, needs to be fast and will be fast.
But are your producers, not necessarily the growers of the food, but the packagers?
Yep.
Is it a consistent network? So how do you maintain quality across the nation?
Sure. So part of the contract manufacturing agreements is we provide the know-how, we provide the manuals and all the standards. We actually put our QA and QC people on the ground in these facilities to ensure consistency and quality. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And these facilities are brother and sister, right? So they're within the same network. So whatever works in Long Island, it just becomes replicatable in another facility because all the data's in the system. It's just a matter of turning it on. That helps.
Yep. So question about price sensitivity. How much testing have you done within these units within their locations? Just $8 a unit, you look at it, even at a 65-point gross margin, if you get there, it's a low ticket. And you look at $26K a year, I mean, adjusted there. Again, it's a low ticket. How have you spent time thinking about ingredients, bifurcating your selection with premium? I mean, how could you move up market or change, I guess, the spread within a machine or a fridge?
Sure. So, I mean, one thing to start with, the 26,000 per unit is based on what we've proven today with a restricted access pool of, call it 250 people, right? So where our fridges currently are today are private, restricted access. We don't even put the locations on the website because if somebody wants to try it, they can't access the space, right? So, I'll, kind of tickle off of that. But, the idea of price point, like we want to present and position ourselves as a premium product, but we also want to exceed expectations. So what we do offer is we have the ability to subsidize price as an employer sponsor thing, right? So now all of a sudden, the employer can keep people in the office, they can keep them more productive. We pitch that we'll save you 15 minutes per employee that's going to engage in our fridge instead of going outside. And you start to add that up and, the value starts to show itself. So, we have law firms in the city that are subsidizing 50%. We have offices that are doing 20%. So then price shifts to the employer as a benefit, and to the consumer it becomes more appealing.
Sure, but do you have any data that it's price sensitive at $9 or $10? Have you run any tests where you've really seen like a real time? I mean, so we had one of these at Revzilla. It was after my time there operating, but I'm not gonna lie, I sent some text this week when I knew I might see you today and was like, what do we think? And people were like, oh, it's a really good product. But I'm curious, they see it for $8 and I'm like, okay, so it saves you the trip out, you're there. I met you a year ago, I had it at an event in West Philly. I was like, this is great, and I love that you're in Philly. You just look at that, I think about all my late nights at my desk where it would have been awesome if there was the current version or a premium version that had maybe a different protein in it. It comes back to, though, could you be doing a $10 jar, a $12 jar, with or without a subsidy, just to look at capturing more share of wallet within the lunchtime set at any office?
Yeah, absolutely. And to date, we've been very bootstrapped, right? So there's been a control mechanism of we don't want to waste a $12 premium product if it's not going to sell or whatnot. But when we make this transition, our cost of goods literally cut in half. So now the world starts to evolve where we can test potentially some other types of products. So the world's our oyster in that sense, but at the same time, we haven't proven anything to that degree, so I can't comment.
Okay.
What percentage of the employers are subsidizing the program?
We have about 5 doing subsidies, so 5 of 26, whatever you want to call that.
Are they larger companies or are they smaller companies?
Mostly are larger. It kind of runs the gamut. Attorneys love it because they keep billable hours. And it's an automatic win. Whereas others, it's a little more of a HR type of thing. So,
what's your spoilage rate percentage?
So today we're about 18%. But again, there's this 6-week ramp up where we start to get the data that provides the insights that we then pivot into a demand planning tool, which then we get much better. So once we're good, we get down sub 10, around 8.
So if you're doing this in Long Island, how many times a week will a truck come to Philadelphia?
Depends on demand, but the trucks are running 7 days a week. And the beauty of these partnerships is the infrastructure already exists. We're not trying to reinvent it. We're not trying to build it. We're just riding the rails. So for incremental costs, we just ride along. And these places are, some of our partnerships, the trucks are stopping there anyway. So why not throw some jars in the bucket?
But does the machine communicate to you guys to tell you you're low on?
Yep, absolutely.
So you have real-time data.
Real-time visibility, yep.
Okay. Because I think, the logistics, I'm one of the early investors in a company called Juice Press, which does a lot of this, not in the jars, but kind of, the spoilage rate and figuring out, they happen to have their facility in Long Island, and how many times they send their trucks out. You don't want a half-empty truck. So I guess I would need to understand more about the logistics piece. Just because the trucks are running doesn't make it efficient, right? Sure. So. Yeah, so we're not licensing out our own trucks to fill it. We're riding, if there's 4 pallet positions, we're filling that. We're taking it for, $150 a pallet, 720 units. It becomes feasible at that stage. But yeah, the supply chain network is something I'm happy to talk off stage or whatever.
What are you projecting for revenue for next year, locations installed?
12 million.
Up from this year's 300K?
Yep.
That's across.
And that's
That's across how many locations?
1,200.
Okay.
So how many SKUs do you have at this point?
We have about 40 recipes in the archives. We're typically, and we like to change up products, on a bi-weekly basis to keep things fresh, especially in the restricted access space. But, in the more kind of open environment, it would be much more of a static menu. So we typically have about 5 or 6 salads, a couple breakfasts, some snacks available, and then we'll, pull off 2, introduce 2 new, and just keep it fresh and rotating.
Did you say what the terms? Did he say the terms of what the 1.6 is?
7.5 pre.
And if you're going to go from 300K to 12 million next year, I would assume that you're going to be raising your Series A pretty quickly, moving into 2020.
So what's beautiful about this partnership thing that we've developed, it all becomes incremental cost of goods to scale. We're not building infrastructure. I mean, we're building a team, so there's use of funds around that.
Sure.
We're furnishing equipment, but we have financing for that. So this is really to build that float inventory of surplus jars, surplus food, operating expense, staffing team, and running some of these pilots where we lose money initially, but then it becomes really good. So we're projected profitability in April.
What's your lead time and MOQ on fridges?
2 weeks. I mean, typically we have about 10. Right now at this stage we have about 10 or so on a dock, kind of ready to go.
Okay.
That's not the case right now, but it will be in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So the 1.6 million allows you to get to the 12 million revenue?
Yep, absolutely. That gets us the whole Mid-Atlantic. It's 160 million people.
And the fridge and all the proprietary technology, you've pre-packaged, you're protected on how that works?
Yeah, so it's another partnership where we've evolved the software to be used for our use case. But the fridge is manufactured in China, brought over. We throw the kind of components on the top, we call it the lid, and then we license the software through a company in San Francisco who manages all of that. So we're not building tech, we're not trying to own tech. All we care about is the data that we can extract from that to then take the insights, pivot in it, and turn it into a demand plan, and then manage the fresh category with real-time visibility.
Exciting.
How easy is it for your competitors to bridge a gap from 3 days to spoilage to your 10 days? I mean, you're Simply Good, right? I would imagine that means you're not using any secret ingredients we don't want to talk about that are bad to preserve things.
Nope, all natural. It's the process we've developed has taken about 6 months to prove and test, but we're vacuuming out oxygen, which is what deteriorates fresh food. It promotes bacterial growth. We're replacing the air with a mixture of 3 chemicals that we've tested rigorously to get to the right mix of the 3 that then get us the production plus 9 or 8 day on the shelf life.
Okay.
Right, so you're raising 1.6 million. You've got 1.3 spoken for.
Yeah, so we have 300 available. We can go up to 5.
300 available. You'd be willing to go up to more. Is there any interest from the Lions?
So I'll take 150,000 of that 300,000.
All right.
Woo.
That's what I'm talking about.
Big first move.
Yeah. I like the concept and I like the progress you've made, so I'll take 50 of it.
50, all right. Any other?
Terms on your Series Seed. Pro rata baked in for the next round?
Our participating investors at the 250 milestone get kind of the investor rights for pro rata, but others do not.
Okay, so I'm interested. I want to come in for 75, but I want to be able to have a pro rata moving forward. I know I'm being cheap.
I think we should negotiate our group gets the pro rata for doing it.
Okay.
Ira, you'll make sure they get pro rata when you look at the documents? 75, all right. 275 of 300.
Yep. I think it's really innovative, but one of the things that Jumpstart and Broad Street have never done before is invest in a food-based business.
It's a tough sell.
It is,
Oh, yeah.
and but I think there's a really interesting solution to this space when you've really got it nailed down in terms of distribution. It's amazing.
Yep, thank you. Thank you.
Richard?
So we had the opportunity to visit previously. We got the product and we tested it, and frankly, everybody thought it was delicious. So you've done a good job in that regard. You know, we're very skeptical about the 12 million number. We don't love the 7.5 million pre, but I'll go 50.
All right.
All right. Well, it sounds like you got a little over your 300,000.
I'll do it.
25.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Congratulations.
Good job.
Nice work.
Well done.
Good job.
All right. Good job.
Party round.
All right. So 1 for 1. That's not bad. Congratulations, Jared. Great job. And I think Anthony said he's holding you to that $12 million revenue number. You're his Kobe Bryant, so he's counting on you.
I have no idea what he just
So
said.
now that the Lions have eaten, the next logical thing, of course, is for the Lions to brush their teeth. And with that, we will now present our next and final presenter today, Max Babinerer from Triple Bristle. All right, here we go. And we got gifts. But he's trying to bribe the Lions out of the gate.
Enjoy the brushes. That's our high-end model, worth well over $100.
There you go.
You didn't get your new one.
Triple Bristle is a dental care brand undergoing explosive growth. Led by my partner, Brock Bourne, he is personally responsible for over $500 million in revenue over his career. He's built and sold 5 separate businesses, and he's doing it again with Triple Bristle, except on a massive scale. We have the team in place, we have the manufacturing in place, we have our path to scale in place. All we need now is expansion capital to make sure we don't run out of inventory. Here you can see times when we ran out of inventory. We can never let that happen again because it kills advertising momentum. Exit potential is great. In 2010, Philips bought Discus Dental for $172 million. That's a B2B model. Waterpik was acquired by Church & Dwight for $1 billion. That's a direct-to-consumer model. And Dollar Shave Club was bought by Unilever for $1 billion. That's a subscription model. We're doing all 3 of these to ensure our chances of success and acquisition. We're doing global retail, US, UK, South Korea, and opening up several others in the next year. We have a B2B wholesale model for our special needs toolkit, as well as selling directly to dental offices. And the most exciting thing, and our core focus now, is our subscription model. It's how we're embracing the razor to razor blade business model by giving the handle away, the one I'm holding in my hand, for $8.97, and then requiring the user to purchase a brush head for $8.97 every 3 months. The brush head costs 75 cents to manufacture, by the way.
Wow.
Replacement brush head sales, in February we started the subscription program. You can see the trajectory, and the numbers are getting more and more exciting as we're going from 6,000 to 50,000 users. The company is led by myself and Brock Bourne. I invented the original Triple Bristle, and I do all product development and quality control. Brock Bourne is a business genius, a marketer for his entire life, and he's old school. He's focused on profitability and growth. In the last few months, Liron, who's here with me today, has joined Triple Bristle. The best way to describe Liron: if Triple Bristle's on fire, he's a huge can of gasoline. In the last month, he's grown Amazon sales by 30%, introduced strategic partnerships we could have never dreamed of having, and opened up Amazon UK in just less than a week. So now to the product. Most toothbrushes are a terrible tool for cleaning your teeth because they habitually miss 30% of tooth surfaces, and this is backed by study after study. Triple Bristle automates perfect brushing. How do I know this? In my dental practice, I have patients with periodontal disease, and after I've given them a Triple Bristle, 3 months later they come up and their gums aren't bleeding anymore. That's when I knew it was time to start scaling. Our existing branded product line, you judges have the Sonic Duo right there in the lower left. 79% profit margin. The consumable product line, 90% profit margin. If you look to the top left there, that's the Sonicare compatible. So Philips handles that are out there, the millions out there in the world, that brush head fits those handles. We're also entering the high-end luxury market, currently in Kickstarter pre-launch. If I was getting a PhD in electric toothbrushes, this would be my thesis. It's 2-month battery life on a single charge, antibacterial bristles, a nano suction holder so you can brush in the shower, and a high-end travel case so you can travel in style. Retails well over $100 for the discerning user. And the biggest potential we're coming across is the special needs toolkit. Things like Alzheimer's, autism spectrum, dementia. These people really need a product, and there's a huge unmet demand. One of the people in our team helped design this product, and he's actually creating the curriculum for the Commission of Dental Accreditation, which this year requires all training programs, assistants, hygienists, and dentists, to have a special needs component. The main thing to know here, there are no competitors. We're entering with a product that has a huge demand and no competition. Our Amazon reviews speak for themselves, well over 1,000 5-star reviews. We're protected by 2 US patents. The important thing there is we're the only ones that can produce and manufacture our brush head. We were independently verified by Clinicians Report. That's an organization where dentists evaluate a product. They test it for several months. After their testing period, they nominated us for Best New Products for 2019 in the oral hygiene category. We have a full-time business development team. This is an amazing group of people, and they are the ones who make me feel comfortable about scaling to millions of dollars, because I know things will go smoothly. Same thing goes for our product development and quality control team. Anton there has been there with me since 2013. He's the one that helped me develop the original brush head. Main thing to know about our manufacturing facilities, they're used by major brands, so they're totally scalable. If we need to scale to 100,000, 200,000, 1 million, it's not a problem. They've done it before, and they'll do it again for us. Last year, we did over $1 million in sales. This year, we're looking to do just over 4. And the trajectory will only go up as market expansion and market acceptance take place. We're raising $750,000 exclusively as expansion capital, willing to take it to $1 million. This is going to pretty much pay for all of our inventory and marketing expansion. Thanks so much for your attention. I look forward to your questions.
So what are the terms of the raise, with pre-money especially?
$5 million pre-money, 15% discount, convertible note.
And how much inventory would you expect to need to carry over the next year or two?
There's a 3-month lag time between order to when it lands in the States. So we really need to constantly have at least 2 months in advance. I would expect we need, and mind you, we have working capital now for inventory, and we have over $600K in inventory currently. But I never want to get in a position where we run out, because the ad spend is getting pretty high. If I had to guess, it would be approximately $5 million worth over the next year to get to our numbers for the next year.
But on average, how much inventory outstanding? It wouldn't be 5, would it?
No. That's like for the entire...
So less than $1 million at any given point in time?
I'd have to run the numbers, but potentially during the slow season, sure. The main thing to know about, and I mean, I've been in retail just for about several years. Main thing to know is you've got to be well stocked for fourth quarter. That's when you'll make 30% or more of all your income. So for the little lag months, it's absolutely possible it'll be below $1 million.
What made you create that high-end model? when it seems to me like the masses are, I guess my question is, because I don't know the answer, what percentage is the high-end model of your sales?
Well, the high-end model is in pre-launch.
Oh.
It's going to be pre-sold on Kickstarter starting in like 3 weeks. I really wanted to create something really high level. My partner pushed me to develop something that would compete with the higher end models. We're looking actually to embrace our razor blade model even further. And once the high end comes out, we want to drop the cost of all of our existing lines just to increase velocity of the sales, because we see the key to profitability being the brush head resales. We also have the barrier to entry there with the patents.
I guess the question becomes one of focus, right? Because you have a base platform, and even if you bring the price down to get to the subscription model, why have the high-end model in the context of everything you could be doing right now?
There are different market segments that won't buy a toothbrush just because it's $9. There are people, who will buy. Anybody can get a functional bag, but there's people spending, a lot of money on Louis Vuittons and Gucci all the time. So our product line is really designed to appeal to different market segments. This one that I'm holding here is the battery brush, $897 to try. That's the $109 model. So people in different income brackets and different tastes are going to want a different product. And we kind of want to capture, as much market share as we can.
What are you going to charge for the black card of toothbrushes?
It's going to be over $100. We're still working out the pricing.
Okay.
Do you think
over $200?
Over 100.
Okay.
Just so you know, there are Sonicare handles that go for $350, and Oral-B handles that go above that. So, and they do well. Their Amazon stats are incredible. So, I'm just trying to appeal to all the market segments I can.
Do you think that Kickstarter is the place for that?
The Kickstarter we're using really to boost our brand. We're going to launch this thing no matter what. But Kickstarter will help us pre-sale units, and it also gets a lot of traction because you get a lot of publicity through all of the blogs and online marketers.
Switch gears for a second. For next year, your projection, what percentage of your revenue is going to be recurring?
That's actually.
I don't remember what was on the slide for the projection. Yeah. This year was $4 million. Next year is total top line 2020. What did you have? 11.
So the subscription is on the second line there.
There you go.
The subscription will eventually, all the other products will feed into it. Okay. And people can upgrade the handle, do upsells, downsells, all that is being worked out.
What's your current churn? Or where's your drop?
18 million. We're at about 18,000 a month. What do you mean?
So churn meaning where are people
70,
dropping off on your
subscription?
Comes off. What are you seeing so far?
70% retention after 90 days at this point, and not less than $20 CPA.
Okay. After 90 days, you're 70%. What are you? And when did you launch it? Do you have how far back did the cohorts go?
February we launched it.
Okay. So what about the folks from the early cohorts?
There's still several that are still in it. Here's the thing. We realize three-sided toothbrushing is not new. What's new is our marketing approach.
Okay.
We're not focused on talking about that technology. We want to get this thing in as many people's hands as we can, find the users who are like raving fans, and then have them be on for the next decade. Because we're working out a way where we're profitable as soon as they buy it, because we figured out a few tweaks. After that, every single 3 months is pure profit because the margins are just absurd. Laurent's here.
I'm going to jump in. So as far as the retention rate's really good. I mean, it's 897.
Isn't this against the rules?
What?
No.
We're unconventional. It's an 897 price point, so it's one of those things people just kind of set and forget and keep getting.
You're banking on apathy. Good for you.
The other thing that we're implementing right now is, so we have the brush club, which basically we have a $28 brush. People get in at like $897. We're implementing now upsells. So for example, the person's going to get in at $897. On the next screen, it's going to have a page show them the rechargeable brush instead of the battery brush. and we're going to upsell. So we're going to increase the order, the average order value. We're also going to offer them to buy multiple sets for family. Q4 is a big time that we're going to take advantage of that. I think we're going to implement a gift program where people could just buy it as a gift and pay upfront for a year to increase cash flow. So we're implementing a lot of things now to lower that amount of time until we become profitable, to try to become profitable upfront on that subscription box sale instead of waiting, 6 months.
Okay.
See, I told you. Full of passion. That's how he got our Amazon sales 30% up in 1 month.
All right, so we had the tag team assist there. So
where are your offices located?
We're global. My partner is in Tennessee, and that's where the warehouse is. It's an incredible area because the cost to employ people is much, much lower. The real estate compared to this area is negligible. But I'm out of Philadelphia, Laron's out of New York, my partner's in Tennessee, our brand manager's in Las Vegas. We're really a global company that kind of uses tech to stay connected. We do Zoom meetings and all that.
Are there any other ways to finance the inventory besides equity? Have you had any discussions along those lines?
Yes, we're in works to do that. We've had people approach us and offer to buy inventory in exchange for a percentage of profit. But considering some of the things that have happened in the last month, I want to get money faster because I believe the growth rate is there, so we can capitalize on it sooner. I don't want to wait for a deal to happen. That will probably happen organically as people see the growth we're experiencing, and they'll want to join in and enjoy the spoils.
So, any other questions from?
Do you have any commitments toward the 750 at this point?
Yeah, 355,000 has been committed. I will overfund to $1 million.
What did you raise before this? I'm sorry. So
355,000.
No. Before this round, what have you raised?
This is the only round.
So you guys have financed this to date as founders?
Oh,
or?
before this, yeah, I put in all my own money, but it became unreasonable once the order amounts become astronomical.
So if I remember the slide, there was 750 put in by the founders initially.
Yeah, that was me and Brock.
And now they're raising another 750.
Got it.
And what's the source of the 350 or 355 that you raised so far?
Broad Street Angels, Ty, the dentist that's helping us do the special needs toolkit, some friends, attorneys.
And the form of it is a convertible note, $5 million pre-money cap, and a 15% discount.
Exactly.
Okay. So there's $395 available towards the 750. If I did my math right.
Right.
Okay.
But we'll extend it to $1 million.
Have you retained your own practice, or are you full-time in this business?
I'm part-time. I'm very committed to this, but I do still practice dentistry. I feel like it gives me an edge because I have an industry insight and I can test products with patients and get real-time.
And is your practice located here in Philly?
Yeah, it's Feasterville, just outside the suburbs of Philly.
So is there any interest? Let me tell you, I think the profitability here is strong. I think you're going to have a perpetual inventory issue, but I suspect at some point in time you'll be able to at least partially use debt to finance that. I think the valuation's reasonable. I'll come in for 100.
Great, thanks so much.
All right, we've got our first bite. Richard's in for 100. Is there any other interest from around the table?
I'll go in for 50 for both Broad Street again and for also Jumpstart.
Great, thank you.
So we got 150 total. Any other interest from the Lions?
I think I'd have to kind of understand a little bit that your organization is kind of all over the place. That's given me a little pause, to be honest with you. I'm a big believer in tech, but I also believe in the casual conversation walking down the hallway. And so I think I'm probably a pass for now, but I want to keep talking.
Yeah, that would be great.
John or Anthony?
So I've been vacillating. I too am one of the, maybe call me old school. I like it when the team's more together and full time. But I agree with Richard that I think your valuation's reasonable. I think you have a track record here of building something. But a maybe's a no for me. So I'm out on this one.
Noted. Thanks so much.
I'm actually in greater need of dental work, too.
Investors get a huge dental work discount.
Does he get a discount on a checkup? All right. Jonathan?
I think the valuation is pretty reasonable with your current EBITDA projections, and so that's attractive. I think the risk that David and Anthony have brought up too are real, so I think there are things to consider.
I mean, just to talk about that for a second, I've been with Brock since 2015. This is not a new company. I mean, we incorporated in 2017 after a huge track record. All the employees you saw on there, they've been with us since the beginning. This isn't like a high turnover company. And we're the kind of people that like text each other, we're friends. I get your sentiment about being physically in the same location, but I think that you'd be giving up a lot of value if you just did that, because a lot of the best talent is interspersed. So I really don't see that as a negative. I really see it as a positive, because we have so much experience and ability to kind of take from each other's locations that you couldn't get if you were just in one locality.
Look, I appreciate that. So I'll say that I'm in for 50. But the point I would make here is, I'm a big believer in the world is flat and globalization. But at the delicate stage of where you are, it's about bringing cohesion of the team, right? And how does that translate into strategy? So it seems like there's some
I can respect that,
there.
but do note that Brock and a large part of the team is in that warehouse, and they do the day-to-day, and I get the calls and updates and real-time data. Yeah, we do meetings all the time. Yeah.
So maybe some of you guys are going to be moving closer to Brock, is what you're saying.
A wise man once said, "Stop at yes." So, with that, congratulations, guys.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thanks again, guys.
Here, back on the stage.
Absolutely.
To say
Got a toothbrush.
so a little over $500,000 in a little over an hour. So that's not bad. Let's please give another round of applause for the three entrepreneurs who came up here today. It takes a lot of courage. Nice job.
Thanks.
Always great to see investments in healthy food and healthy teeth. So congratulations to all the presenters, and great job, great energy from our Lions Den. My name is Paul Marvel. I'm the marketing managing partner for RSM. Those not familiar with RSM is the 5th largest accounting, tax, and consulting firm in the United States. We are located in 120 countries around the world. Next, I would like to quickly congratulate Dean and his team for a fantastic event again this year, and to Dwayne Morris, doing the hosting last year, knowing the energy and the dedication and the passion that goes in an event like this. Congratulations to both of you. And now I'd like to introduce to the stage again, Dwayne Morris. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. We will be brief because we understand food is next. Want to thank Cozen O'Connor for sponsoring the Lions Den and the Lions for participating again. Always a real feature of the conference. Also just want to thank everyone, the sponsors and everyone. I've often said I'm a corporate partner at a large law firm, so taking credit for the work of others is what I do for a living. And in this case, it's really true. So I want to thank all the people from PACT, our Dwayne Morris team, all the sponsors, all the track chairs. It's been great, and want to introduce Dean for introduce next year's victim.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Sandra. Again, another round of applause, please, for Dwayne Morris, Sandra, and Rich. To all our companies, to our Lions, but here's a little tidbit. 2 of these companies who got up on this stage today showed up at this conference as a result of pitching at PACTCapCon pitch events throughout the year. So as you know, this isn't the only opportunity for entrepreneurs to pitch to investors. Both Triple Bristle and Trek Trek It, pitched at Pact High, won those events to get automatic entry into the 42 companies you saw today, and then impressed, obviously, the Lions to get up on this stage. So another round of applause for all of our companies, please. We got 20 seconds before the bars open. I want to recognize and thank our 2020 host, Eisner Amper. So congratulations, Eisner Amper. We're going to look forward a year from now to a great conference. But before we get started that, we need to finish this one. And helping to finish that are our gala sponsors, Pepper Hamilton and Grant Thornton. The gala is now officially open. Enjoy.
Guys, thank you for joining us.